Hey guys, it's Maya, and today I'm going to be doing another UCONN Q&A specifically about dorm rooms, roommates, and the honors program. I have 10 questions for you guys today, so let's get started. The first question is, what furniture is in your room when you first move in? I lived in a traditional double in Buckley my freshman year, so I can tell you what comes with that room. So first off, there's 2 beds with the blue mattress. It's not the most uncomfortable thing, but everyone brings mattress toppers. There's the headboard and the footboard, and then if you bring a hammer or a mallet or something like that, it comes with everything you need to already loft the bed or bunk it. There's a black bar that connects the headboard to the footboard, so if you put it on the side closest to the wall, it can add security to the bed frame, but if you put it on the other side, it can act as a railing so you don't fall off your bed, which is definitely helpful if you've bunked your beds because you don't want to fall on the floor from that high up. And then some people had ladders in their room, which is specifically for bunked beds. Typically, you would contact Res Life ahead of time and ask to put a ladder in your room, but if you don't have one, you can definitely contact them. Then there's a mirror of some sorts in your room. So my first room had a rectangular mirror on the left-hand side, and then when I moved to Julia's room, there was a mirror on the right-hand side, but it was 3 square panels stacked together. There's 2 desks, and they have a horizontal drawer, and it comes with something attached to the drawer that you can put a combination lock on it if you want. There's also a compartment on the right-hand side that you can put like books or something in. There's a hole in the desk if you want to string a cord through it, and they also come with 2 chairs. I barely use the chair. They rock unexpectedly, and they're a little bit dangerous. There's 2 closets. There's a rod to hang your clothes in a lower section, and then there's 2 shelves above that. Then there's a curtain rod located a little bit past the second shelf. There are some hooks around that area. I don't remember how many exactly because I brought a lot of my own, but there were definitely a few. There was also a towel bar located inside of the closet, and lastly there was a 3-drawer dresser slash bureau located in the closet, but I moved mine underneath my lofted bed. So the next question kind of goes off the last question. It's, does the dorm room come with a curtain rod, or do you have to buy your own? So it does come with the curtain rod, but I brought my own. It kind of depends on what curtain you want to buy. If you buy a curtain with rings that clip open and closed, that works on the curtain rod that's already located in your room. If you buy a curtain with rings that can't clip open and closed, definitely buy your own. For me, the curtain rod was kind of high up since it was past the top shelf, so I put my curtain rod a little bit lower than that one, so definitely keep the length of your curtain in mind. The next question is, do you have to keep the furniture in your room? The short answer to that is yes, you need to keep everything in your room. Whatever was in your room when you first moved in has to be in your room when you move out. Of course, the one exception is if you have a ladder in your room and you don't want to bunk your beds. I'm sure you can call Res Life and get that removed so you don't have to deal with storing that, but other than that, all the furniture needs to be in your room. The next question is, what is the typical housing rate that people choose? So that kind of depends on what grade you're in. Most freshmen choose rate 1, which is the traditional double and is the cheapest option. Another popular option for freshmen is rate 4, which is a double with a private bathroom, aka the Shippi C rooms, and that also includes singles. After freshman year, if you want to stay in the honors learning community, you might choose rate 2, which is a Worth traditional double, or rate 5, which is a Worth traditional single. Then, depending on if you have enough credits, specifically 60 credits, you might choose rate 4, which is a suite with 2 doubles, or rate 6, which is a suite with 2 singles. I'll leave a link in the description box below to UCONN's housing rates and prices, so you can check that out. The next question is, when do you have room checks? Are they spontaneous, and what even is a room check? So 2 RAs do room checks, typically your RA and another RA, and honestly, they're not that big of a deal. They only take a few minutes, and the RAs come in, take a look around, and then fill out the sheet on whether you passed or not. They're not allowed to touch anything, so they can't go in your drawers or your fridge or anything like that. So if there's something in your room that shouldn't really be there, as long as they can't see it, you're good. You have one at the beginning of your fall and spring semester. I believe mine was within the first 2 weeks of the semesters, and then I think they check your room during winter and spring break. They aren't spontaneous, and your RA will tell you what days they're doing the room check, but not specifically on what day and what time. For example, my room check could have been Monday through Wednesday, and we didn't know specifically when, but it ended up being around 6 p.m. However, there was one case that there were spontaneous room checks. There was an electrical issue that needed to be inspected. We had like 3 hours notice that Res Life would be randomly checking rooms on 2 floors, but that's a very rare scenario, and I don't really think it happened again. The next question is, are there any dorm restrictions? There are a few, and I will put the link to what UCONN suggests you bring and what UCONN prohibits. However, I will be making a dorm essentials video in the near future. So one thing off the top of my head that's not allowed are air conditioners and heaters. If you really need an air conditioner, you can file for one through the Center for Students with Disabilities or something like that. However, you do need to have a medical condition and proof to validate why you would need this air conditioner. If you just need an air conditioner in your room because it's hot, UCONN wouldn't allow that. You would actually need a serious reason as to why you would need an air conditioner in your room. The next thing that I can think of is extension cords. You can bring power strips and those are very handy. Another one is candles or incense because obviously they don't want fire in your room. Also, you can't have your own Wi-Fi. Julia has hers and during her first room check, our RA told her that wasn't allowed, but then we moved it and you can't see it, so everything's fine. The next question is, I'm out of state and want to find a roommate. Any advice? So the first place that you can check is the Facebook page that's specifically made for people who want to find a roommate. So definitely look at that and try to connect with some people. If not, maybe try following people on Instagram or other social media and starting a conversation with them. Orientation is also such an ideal spot to find a roommate since you can talk to someone face to face. But of course, this year that obviously isn't applicable. But it isn't the end of the world to go random. I know a lot of people who went random and ended up loving their roommate. The next question is, can I apply to the honors program during my time at UCONN? So yes, you definitely can apply. There is an application that goes along with it, of course, and that application depends on if you're an incoming sophomore or a junior. I'll put the link to all that information in the description box below. There are a bunch of different requirements. I'll list off a couple right now, but there are definitely more. You need to have a minimum of a 3.4 GPA. You need to send in your resume and your academic record. You also have supplemental essays and you need teacher recommendations. But of course, it depends on how much space is available in the honors program at that time. And just an FYI, if you're a rising sophomore, I do know that the applications are due July 1st. So if you want to apply, you have like 2 weeks to do that application. The next question is, do students in the honors program only interact with other honors students? And the answer is no. I mean, I can only comment on this with my experience as a freshman. Living in the Buckship community, obviously you're surrounded by people in the honors program. You live with them. Typically, if you go to the Buckley dining hall, you eat with people in the honors program. And then of course, if you take honors classes, you're obviously surrounded by peers in the honors program. However, there's such a good chance of meeting people who aren't in the honors program by taking classes that aren't honors, or taking classes that are specialized for your major, joining a club or a sports team, or meeting friends of friends. And then the last question that I have for you today is, do you have to be in the honors program to live in Buckley or Shippi? I heard that you can still apply even if you're not honors and they don't turn down a lot of people. So if you're in the honors program as a freshman, you would typically live in Buckley or Shippi. However, I do know that non-honors people can live in the Buckship complex. Julia and Molly both were not in the honors program and they lived on my floor in Buckley. I'm not sure how that's all figured out. In terms of the second part of this question, I'm not too knowledgeable on applying if you're not in honors or how likely they are to accept you if you aren't in the honors program. When I was an incoming freshman, I did some research and I saw that fine arts majors might also be living in Buckley and Shippi since it's so close to the fine arts complex. However, I don't know anyone personally in that situation, so don't quote me on that. So that was my Q&A on dorm rooms, roommates in the honors program. If you have any more questions about UCONN or my experience, leave them in the comments below. And if you have any more UCONN themed videos that you want me to do or any other type of videos that you want me to do, leave that in the comments as well. The next Q&A will be a half Q&A, half story time, and I'll be answering all of your questions about my experience switching roommates. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for that one. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something from it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on my social media down below. And I'll see you next time.